Elizabeth Griscom Ross, née Griscom, January 1, 1752 to January 30, 1836. Also known by her second and third married names, Ashburn and Claypoole, was an American upholsterer who was credited by her relatives in 1870 with making the first official U.S. flag, accordingly known as the Betsy Ross flag. Though most historians dismiss the story, Ross family tradition holds that General George Washington, Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and two members of a congressional committee, Robert Morris and George Ross, visited Mrs. Ross in 1776. Mrs. Ross convinced George Washington to change the shape of the stars in a sketch of a flag he showed her from 6-pointed to 5-pointed by demonstrating that it was easier and speedier to cut the latter. However, there is no archival evidence or other recorded verbal tradition to substantiate this story of the first U.S. flag. It appears that the story first surfaced in the writings of her grandson in the 1870s, a century after the fact, with no mention or documentation in earlier decades. Ross made flags for the Pennsylvania Navy during the American Revolution. After the Revolution, she made U.S. flags for over 50 years, including 50 garrison flags for the U.S. Arsenal on the Schuylkill River during 1811. The flags of the Pennsylvania Navy were overseen by the Pennsylvania Navy Board. The board reported to the Pennsylvania Provincial Assembly's Committee of Safety. In July 1775, the president of the Committee of Safety was Benjamin Franklin. Its members included Robert Morris and George Ross. At that time, the committee ordered the construction of gunboats that would eventually need flags as part of their equipment. As late as October 1776, Captain William Richards was still writing to the Committee or Council of Safety to request the design that he could use to order flags for their fleet. Ross was one of those hired to make flags for the Pennsylvanian fleet. An entry dated May 29, 1777, in the records of the Pennsylvania Navy Board includes an order to pay her for her work. It is worded as follows: an order on William Webb to Elizabeth Ross for £14 12 shillings and 2 pence for making ship's colours, etc. Put into William Richards' store. £14 and 12 pence. 2. The Pennsylvania Navy's ship colour included 1. An ensign, 2. A long, narrow pennant, and 3. A short, narrow pennant. The ensign was a blue flag with 13 stripes, 7 red stripes and 6 white stripes in the flag's canton, upper left-hand corner. It was flown from a pole at the rear of the ship. The long pennant had 13 vertical, red and white stripes near the mast. The rest was solid red. It flew from the top of the ship's mainmast, the center pole holding the sails. The short pennant was solid red, and flew from the top of the ship's mizzenmast, the pole holding the ship's sails nearest the stern, rear of the ship. Betsy Ross was born on January 1, 1752, to Samuel Griscom, 1717 to 1793, and Rebecca James Griscom, 1721 to 1793, on the Griscom family farm in Gloucester City, New Jersey. Ross was the eighth of 17 children, of whom only 9 survived childhood. A sister, Sarah, 1745 to 1747, and brother, William, 1748 to 1749, died before Elizabeth, Betsy, was born. Another sister, Sarah Griscom Donaldson, 1749 to 1785, was named after the earlier deceased Sarah. Ross was just 5 years old when her sister Martha, 1754 to 1757, died, and another sister, Anne, 1757 to 1759, only lived to the age of 2. Brothers Samuel I, 1753 to 1756, and Samuel II, 1758 to 1761, both died at age 3. 2 others, twins, brother Joseph, 1759 to 1762, and sister Abigail, 1759–1762, died in one of the frequent smallpox epidemics in the autumn of 1762. Ross grew up in a household where the plain dress and strict discipline of the Quakers dominated. She learned to sew from a great-aunt, Sarah Elizabeth Ann Griscom. Ross's great-grandfather, Andrew Griscom, a member of the Quakers and a carpenter, had emigrated in 1680 from England. After her schooling at a Quaker-run state school, Ross's father apprenticed her to an upholsterer named William Webster.